Hello, Capricorn. This is your horoscope for December of 2023. As we start out the month, it's definitely one of the heavier times of year for you. This is especially true this year because we not only have Sun in Sagittarius, so in other words, Sun is in your 12th house as we start out the month. Most of the month will have Sun in your 12th house, as well as Mars in your 12th house. So generally speaking, as I'm going through these different horoscopes, whatever sign has Sun in their 12th house, that's typically the heaviest horoscope that I give. And the reason why is because the 12th house is a very difficult part of the transit to experience, part of the cycle to experience. When the sun is in the 12th house, it's kind of like whatever's in the 12th house is difficult to access. It's kind of ethereal, it's in the subconscious, it's not really affecting you so much physically, if that makes sense. And sun is a benefic, it brings that vital energy and enthusiasm. So, in other words, with sun in the 12th house for most of this month for you, it's kind of like the enthusiasm, the vitality is just a little bit harder to connect with for you than usual. This is, again, especially true because Mars is in the 12th house as well for much of the month. So that's kind of where we start out. However, although it does look very heavy and, typically these 12th house transits would indicate maybe a lot of downtime, a lot of time alone. It's typically a less active time. That may be true for you on some levels. However, there are two things going on that to me point to this month, especially the beginning of this month, being very busy for you. So the first of which would be, you can see here as we start out the month, we've got Mercury in your sign. Mercury is, of course, the mental energy, but it also brings busyness wherever it goes. So having Mercury in your own sign means that for much of the month, particularly the beginning, you may be learning a lot, reading, researching, writing, speaking, maybe teaching as well. But also you may just be generally busy. You may be more involved with short distance travel. You're doing this, you're doing that, maybe more errands, things like that. Another reason why I say that it looks like you may be very busy this general time is because as we start out the month, we've got Venus in Libra. Libra is your 10th house of career and reputation. So with Venus in your 10th house, this is kind of like your time to shine. And again, I know that's a bit contradictory. You have to take into account everything I'm saying. On the one hand, you may feel a little depressed, kind of heavy. You want to be alone. Yet at the same time, you're actually shining in public and, in your career, whatever you do in the world, whatever your role is. Venus is, giving you that abundance, that pleasure, that desire. You're coming across very well right now. So as we start this month, it's a weird mix of kind of an ending phase, kind of a rest phase, but also being busy at the same time. And your reputation and career actually look pretty solid. Okay, but I wanted to briefly go through and give you some key dates for events for this month that will be affecting you. The first of which is actually Mercury entering Capricorn. That happens December 1st. We already kind of talked about that. Mercury entering your sign basically just means more mental energy, learning, teaching, reading, researching, writing, editing, and also just being more busy in general. That's generally the focus as we go forward with Mercury in your sign. This will change because later this month Mercury will retrograde and then it will enter Sagittarius again. So it's going to go backward into your 12th house. Specifically, Mercury will turn retrograde at 8 degrees Capricorn. Pay attention to whatever placements you have within the first 8 degrees of Capricorn because Mercury this month will go backward over any placements that you have there. You may not have any placements there, that's fine. But whatever placements you have there will be personally affected by this whole retrograde. I'm going to talk about Mercury retrograde more once it actually happens a little bit later on. It will turn retrograde December 13th if you're curious. Okay, but let's go forward. So Monday, December 4th, this is the day where Venus leaves Libra and enters Scorpio. So you can see here, you can see that in this chart right here. So basically, Venus is leaving your 10th house and entering your 11th house. So it's still in a very public part of your chart. This is still very strong for you. It's just that the 11th house more has to do with people and your community. So rather than like you shining super brightly in public, you're still shining brightly in public. It's just that the focus is shifting more to, your groups or whoever is out and about in your community, whoever you see when you're at work, in public, etc. You may enjoy those contacts more. You may enjoy your involvement in those areas more, but also your involvement will be enjoyed by others as well. Others are enjoying your presence, your company, your participation in whatever groups are you a part of. A friend group, a family, your coworkers, social media, hardly any of us aren't part of any groups at all. Even if you're very introverted, you're probably part of some group. So that's the area that Venus is bringing you abundance and joy moving forward from December 4th, okay? Wednesday, December 6th, this is the day where Neptune turns direct. Neptune is at 24 degrees Pisces. This is your third house. So basically this means like Neptune's energy is coming back online. You know, when planets turn direct, they begin to affect us in a more literal way moving forward. Neptune is in your third house, so it's bringing like this delusion and uncertainty regarding your friends, siblings, acquaintances, neighbors, coworkers. These are like casual relationships, people that you see on a daily basis that you may chit chat with or whatever. You know, or if you're saying, oh, I'm so introverted, I don't have anything like that. Do you though? You probably do. And if you don't, you probably have like some kind of siblings or friends or something like that. It's also just in like your relationship with your neighborhood and like your routine and stuff like that. So in all of these areas, there may be that delusion and confusion moving forward. But Neptune is weird. There's also this chance of having like enlightenment in these areas. Honestly, it's kind of a mundane area for Neptune to be affecting you. Okay, and December 12th, 2023, this is the day where we have a new moon in Sagittarius. You can see here it's at 20 degrees Sagittarius. So remember, you know, Sagittarius is your 12th house. This is heavy stuff. It's not all bad though. A new moon in your 12th house, how do I put this? Like any new moon for anyone would be a great time for manifestation and, you know, what are your intentions? This is the time for creating with your mind. That would be true of any new moon, but especially a new moon in your 12th house. This may be an opportunity to seeing, maybe setting new intentions or goals regarding your own spirituality, your own emotional and mental health. It could also be a great time for setting like routines, regimens in those areas. What else? It may be a time, there was something else I was going to say that I forgot, but it may be a time of just maybe increased focus on yourself. You know, you are Capricorn. You're often very busy and you're often very hard on yourself. So this new moon in your 12th house may be an opportunity for just saying like, hey, like, let's just chill for a moment. You need to rest, like check in with yourself. I feel like I'm hearing you saying like, no, I don't want to do that. Or maybe you do, I don't know. But this is kind of what astrology is all about. What else? New moon in your 12th house. It's just showing a lot of activity in your 12th house in general. You know, on this day, we've got Sun, Moon, and Mars all in Sagittarius, all in your 12th house. So again, on kind of a physical or literal context, this can be depressing because physically or literally it appears like there's not much going on, or there could even be a loss around this time. However, I always say, you know, it's not all bad. It's just that right now, this new moon and this part of the cycle is more focused on your subconscious, your spirituality. You're kind of delving within. It is sort of an ending, and that can be depressing, but you have to go through this ending before you get to the beginning, right? You will have much more exciting times when we get, a lot more activity in Capricorn at the end of the month as well as next month. But you have to go through this, like, ending, almost kind of a hermit phase before you get to that exciting new beginning, if that makes sense. This is something that everyone goes through every year to some extent, by the way. Okay, Wednesday, December 13th, Mercury turns retrograde. It turns retrograde at 8 degrees Capricorn. So again, you know, for any of you, whatever placements you have in Capricorn, wherever they are, this is a big deal. Mercury is turning retrograde in your sign, but especially if you have planets around 8 degrees Capricorn or before that. So between 0 and 8 degrees Capricorn. Okay, basically what this means is like you've been so busy, right? You've been very busy. You've really been doing it all. You've probably been very busy, like literally, physically, but also mentally, like emotionally, spiritually, right? You've been dealing with all of it lately. So now is a time to slow down, and you kind of have to slow down. You know, many of us just say like, well, I can't slow down. I've got work. I've got this and that. The astrology or just the events in your life, you will be forced to slow down if you do not. I'm not threatening that. I'm just saying what I've learned, you know. You will be forced to slow down. Oftentimes there can be like illness. I'm not wishing that upon you by any means, but I'm just saying like, this is a time for really checking in with yourself and slowing down. You know, you may have been missing a lot of your life lately. You know, you just haven't had the time. You haven't had the energy to sit with yourself and really digest everything, process everything. So Mercury retrograde is going to give you an opportunity to to do just that. Slow down, rewind, process everything. You are Capricorn. You're oriented toward that kind of like thorough understanding of things, right? So this is just a time for doing just that, okay? And this will go forward. On a more general level, having Mercury retrograde in your sign, it makes you more attuned to it. And as you probably know, Mercury retrograde can often involve like themes from the past coming up, people from your past. Oftentimes that's family. It's not just exes, it could be family as well. Whoever is in your past, right? Whoever was part of your foundation or your history, they may kind of just, come up for whatever reason, just naturally, okay? Or just past themes that you thought you were done with, I know it sounds like really fun stuff, but this is necessary to gain this increased awareness and understanding. Again, it's one of those things like you have to go through this in order to be bulletproof by the end of the Mercury retrograde. And then once Mercury eventually turns direct on January 1st, that's the time where you'll be much more confident and whole within yourself because you've gone through this experience. So that's the silver lining there. It's not all bad. Going forward to Thursday, December 21st, this is the day where Sun leaves Sagittarius and enters Capricorn. So honestly, I think this is great news for you. There's a purpose to every transit. Hopefully you've, really taken a look at yourself in the mirror and maybe gained more self-awareness. Maybe you've set up, a better structure for yourself spiritually or emotionally. Or maybe you just waited it out. Honestly, I think that's part of astrology too. Maybe, maybe you're not sure what you've learned at this point, but you just kind of waited out a somewhat dark transit. And now you're at the point where, Sun is entering your sign. It's starting to shine its light on you, so to speak. So going forward from Thursday, December 21st, you'll likely feel a little more energized, a little bit more yourself, more in your own element. So again, I think that's great. This could also represent a new beginning for you, and this is common. Just think about what happens at this time of year for you. Some of you are more tuned to these cycles than others. This is something that happens every year around this time. Sun is entering your sign. It's shining its light on you, basically. Saturday, December 23rd, Mercury leaves your sign. It's going in the opposite direction from our perception, right? So Mercury is now entering Sagittarius. So it's basically what this means is like, as far as the mental energy goes, the learning, the information, there's some kind of learning or information involved in your 12th house. So in other words, involved in your subconscious, your spirituality, your past. There's something there. There's like some kind of unfinished business there. So that's why Mercury's going back to say like, hey, wait a minute, we missed something. Is there something we need to learn from our past? Is there something, like, again, maybe you've been neglecting your own emotional health, your own spirituality. Maybe you haven't been giving yourself time to rest or to ask the bigger questions, right? To be open to, different information, different feelings, different vibes, right? This is the 12th house. So anyway, Mercury's coming back there to give you an opportunity. Remember, Mercury's still going to be retrograde, so it's still going backward, deeper into your subconscious, deeper into the 12th house. So it's saying, we need to like really dive down deep. If this doesn't sound fun, it's because it's probably not going to be, honestly, but it doesn't have to be bad. I know I keep stressing that, but it's just about sitting with yourself, or, you must have some kind of hobby or pastime that is relaxing in nature. And I'm not talking about electronics. I'm talking about something, that actually kind of burns us out electrically, with our own electricity. Electronics burn us out. What is truly restful? Can you do something with your hands or something in nature? Or even just meditating, whatever it is, that would be excellent probably anytime, but especially right now as Mercury is retrograde in your 12th house, it's asking you to go back into these deeper layers and gain some kind of deeper understanding there. Thursday, December 26th, there is a full moon in Cancer, your opposing sign. So in other words, there's a full moon at 4 degrees Cancer. This is your 7th house. So Cancer is directly opposite you. That means that Cancer deals with relationships, partnerships, the give and take between you and someone else, okay? Any partnership, whether that's a romantic relationship, business relationship, a best friend, a family member that you're super close with, any like strong one-on-one relationship, that's generally going to be the area of the focus. There may be increased activity in your relationships on and around this full moon. Also, whoever is involved in your life in these types of partnerships, there may be more activity in their life. So this is where astrology gets weird. It doesn't just apply to you specifically. You can almost see what's going on in the people who are part of your life through your astrology, if that makes sense. So again, full moon in seventh house, that indicates some drama, some increased activity, perhaps in your relationships or just in someone close to you. So something big is going on with them. This isn't necessarily good or bad. The moon is neutral. It's not a benefic or a malefic. It represents emotion. So it's good, it's bad, it's crazy. It tends to bring a lot of activity with a full moon like this. So just expect the unexpected, honestly. This could also highlight just relationship dynamics in general for you. A full moon is not just about the moon. It's an opposition between the moon and the sun. Okay, so moon is at 4 degrees Cancer, sun is at 4 degrees Capricorn. So what is the dynamic of you versus other? Whoever is in your life in these partnerships, are those relationships balanced? Are you truly hearing them, understanding them? Are they truly hearing and understanding you? Is there room for improvement or change, that needs to be made in your relationships, etc.? All these questions may come up on and around this full moon. Okay, and Friday, December 29th, I almost said 19th. This is the day where Venus leaves Scorpio and enters Sagittarius. So it's actually pretty crazy that Venus has already gone through the entire sign of Scorpio within this month. So that's kind of interesting. I don't think Venus usually travels that fast. But anyway, Venus entering Sagittarius. Remember, this is your 12th house. I think it's sometimes especially painful when a benefic such as Venus enters our 12th house because again, when planets enter the 12th house, they still affect us. It's just that they're more difficult to connect with. They're more subtle, more intuitive, more non-physical in nature. So the more of a physical approach you have to things, the more it will appear that Venus's energy just completely goes MIA for you after December 29th. So the reason why that's painful is because Venus makes things enjoyable, it makes things fun. Venus, it's a benefic. It makes life generally much easier, more fun. I would say Venus is the easiest planet to deal with in astrology, even more so than the Sun or Jupiter. Venus has very few downfalls. So anyway, so again, the love, the pleasure, the enjoyment, the value, all of that you can still connect with. It's just that you're going to have to go on a deeper level to connect with those things. The silver lining is this may be a time for reevaluating. What do you find pleasurable? What do you find desirable? What do you value? How are you valuable? How are you attractive as well? It goes both ways with Venus. So in all of these areas, you're going through kind of a rest phase moving forward, a time of reassessing these things, maybe a time of relative inactivity. If that sounds fun, if that sounds like it's not fun, it's because oftentimes it's not. I'm just going to be very real with you. But you have to go through this in order to gain that deeper understanding of pleasure, desire, etc. In order to eventually you're going to have Venus in Capricorn in your own sign early next year, and that's when you can enjoy the, oh, I'm so attractive and I'm having so much fun, I know what I want. You have to go through this generally more difficult phase in order to get to that period of increased fun and confidence, etc. Okay, so that's just how these things kind of work. We enjoy some parts of the transits more than others, but this is just how it is. Okay, December 30th, this is the last bullet point I'm going to give you, but this is the day where Jupiter turns direct at 5 degrees Taurus, okay? So let me look at the chart real quick. So Taurus is your 5th house. Jupiter turning direct in your 5th house, I think, is really exciting and fun. Jupiter tends to spend about 5 months retrograde. So in other words, for the past 5 months, Jupiter's been retrograde in your 5th house. So you've probably been kind of reevaluating the fun of your life. However you express yourself creatively, you may be kind of like reworking that, or you may have been a little bit more subdued in those areas over these last several months. Also, anything having to do with children in your life, your relationship with, any kind of children. If you have kids, that's what this is about. And if you don't have kids, it may just be about your own inner child, so to speak. How do you express your own, your own playfulness, your own fun? So we're leaving a more subdued phase in all those areas, and we're entering a phase of more direct activity, direct abundance, direct fun. So if there are kids in your life, you may be having more fun with them, maybe enjoying them more, spending more time with kids, being more creative with kids. I don't know what that would even mean. And if it doesn't necessarily have to always be about kids. It could just be about you embracing your own creative expression in a more direct, more accessible way moving forward. That could definitely be what this is about as well. Okay, and honestly, that's pretty much what I have for you. So I hope this helps you. It looks like a very intense, pressurized month for you, but again, this is something we go through. You're almost at your own time of year. Many of you will already be having birthdays, or you'll already be having sun cross over your rising, or whatever your Capricorn placements are. Whatever Capricorn placements you have, sun will already be crossing over many of those at the end of the month. And if you have placements later in Capricorn, you're only a couple weeks away. So just hang in there. It'll get easier for you. And honestly, January is, that's more your time to shine. It's generally a more fun time of year for you. Okay, so I hope that helps you. I hope that was interesting. And thanks for watching.